You'll find most of the board members in their offices preparing. Vina is also here, waiting for the meeting to start. We'll need at least 50% of the vote to go our way. In the event of a tie, I will make the final decision. I trust you'll get it done.
Did Masako send you to try and convince me to acquire Infinity LTD? I think we both know that's not going to work. You can make light of the situation, but my stance won't change. The internal Neuroamp gives us the power to crush our competitors, not take them under our wing. This is exactly why Masako's time as CEO is finished. Good. If you use that Neuroamp wisely, it will guarantee that Infinity gets shut down. The corporate world will hear SSNN's story and believe Ryujin exposed Infinity because they stole from us. It sends a strong message. But acquiring Infinity could be interpreted as a safety net. Infinity tried to screw us over, yet they still survived. We need to be sending a much stronger message. If you mess with Ryujin, we'll shut you down. Period. Well, it does make Ryujin look good, and we do gain a wider customer base, which means higher profits. You're oddly right about this one, Op. I guess you are worth keeping around. As long as everyone has Ryujin's best interests in mind, this should make for an interesting meeting. An issue? That would be a foolish move. Dalton and Alexis are the only two against it. You'd never get the rest to shut it down. As long as we have the proper safeguards and rules in place, the benefits exponentially outweigh the drawbacks. Even if we limit the usage to Ryujin Industries employees alone, the advantages are too numerous to count. Dangerous indeed. For all I know, you're using it right now. The irony. Perhaps I didn't see it earlier, but you're right. The moment a competitor reverse engineers Vina's work, it'll be chaos. The last thing I want is to have my brain scrambled because some engineer didn't do their due diligence. Now, if you'll excuse me, I still have a lot of preparations to make.
It's good to see you again. And how's my favorite patient doing? Not seeing any temporal memory flashes or losing time, I hope. What? No, of course not. They're purely theoretical. That's great. I'd say Project Dominion is ready for legitimate human trials in that case. One step closer to seeing market approval. Genevieve is going to be so excited. So, tell me what you think of the Neuroamp. I hope you're not actually suggesting that the technology I spent years working on and perfecting never sees the light of day. This is groundbreaking work. My life's work. Of course I do. But there are amazing things Dominion can be used for, too. Humanity has always created dangers, and we've always policed them as well. The internal Neuroamp will be no different. It just needs to find its place.
Every scientist wants to make that amazing discovery that goes down in the history books, but you want it to be for the right reasons. It's easy to get caught up in the pros, especially when the bright side of the internal Neuroamp is blinding.
Exactly. It can rid the settled systems of violent conflict. Just imagine an era where we aren't using weapons to convince each other.
It'd be a pretty amazing future, but the truth is, that's not the reality. It's an ideal. The reality is that this tech takes away another person's ability not only to choose, but to present their side of the argument. People no longer have to listen and understand one another. And even worse, what if the user is wrong?
I understand what you're saying, but that's something for legal and political systems to decide.
The responsibility starts with you, Vina. You can't create such controversial tech, launch it into the world, and then wash your hands of it, expecting others to do what's right. The people in those positions are motivated by power and greed. Their decisions will be made based on what benefits them most.
Well, this conversation's made me feel like a proper monster. But you're right. In a perfect world, tech like this is used for good. But this world is far from perfect. It is. It really is. For years, my only focus has been, is this possible? And then, how do I make it work? I never stopped to consider if it was right, or what it would mean. I guess it'll be up to a vote either way. It's not on the meeting agenda, so I assume you'll bring it up yourself? We just have to hope the others will see reason. So the next question is, what will the fate of Infinity LTD be? I'd like to acquire them, although it won't break my heart if we don't. Faye may have stepped over a line in her attempt to replicate my work, but she's a brilliant engineer. I'm very curious to see what else she may have been working on and dig into her research. Exactly. Not that I want to gloat over it. Maybe just a little. Okay, so DeMarcus and I have really been looking forward to it, so fingers crossed this deal goes through. Well, this has certainly been the most interesting conversation of my day. All we can do now is look forward to the meeting, right? See you in there.
You're looking interesting today. Just the person I wanted to see. I want to get all the details locked down for this meeting, and I believe you to be one of the best sources available. Good. I prefer first-hand feedback when available. You've had the chance to encounter members of Infinity LTD throughout your assignments here. Do you think they're worth redemption? And why? You can tell a lot by just looking at a workspace or simply observing a person in their business environment. Perhaps I mistakenly assumed that as an operative here, observation was a talent of yours. Saving the jobs of thousands is altruistic, which is not a luxury corporations have. It's a financial burden. It would be a huge undertaking on my part. That is a plea more well spent on Genevieve or Alexis. I prefer to focus on the numbers and leave emotions out of my decision-making. Perhaps I wanted to see if I could be convinced otherwise. It's easy to say it's the right thing to do for someone in your position. But for me, Infinity LTD is a huge financial unknown. It's high risk versus mediocre reward. Your disdain is noted. And perhaps you thought I'd care because you're hopeful. Next question. What is your opinion on how Masako handled the mole situation? And why do you feel it was well handled? Please note I'm not disagreeing. I just want to know the why behind your statement. Interesting. So this must have been a situation that required some extreme secrecy on their part. I appreciate the insight. I suppose I should ask if there's anything I can do for you, considering how helpful you've been. It's the next big step for Ryujin Industries. Financially, it'll keep us secure for years to come. There's no doubt it's our future. It's only dangerous to those who can't afford one, hence the added motivation that will bolster sales. The guarantee depends on if we're willing to make the financial commitment to outfitting each employee with at least a shielding component. A cost that's not lost on me as CFO. I think we all know how averse I am to chaos. Finances are my forte, so you make a good point. Our competition has yet to truly master neuroamps, but the possibility is there. It's a risk I am unwilling to take. At this time, this has been rather enlightening for me. I appreciate the time.
Is Masako checking up on me to make sure I'm on her side? Because that's what I do. You want something in this business? You don't pull any punches. The only real question is just how persuasive she asked you to be. Well, you can let Masako know to rest easy. It just so happens that her agenda lines up with mine. We just need to grab Infinity LTD while it's got the public's full attention. I'm all about free PR, especially when it's painting us in a good light. Infinity is that sad company in distress with thousands of employees terrified of their futures right now. We are the warm embrace of security coming to rescue them. The only downsides are the unknowns. Lyndon and Alexis are gonna have a lot on their hands. Not that I'm getting off easy. Whatever they find, if it hits the public, that's gonna fall on my shoulders too. I'm sure I can squeeze enough goodwill out of this to last us at least a year. The consumer is our lifeblood, so capturing their wants and desires, of course it's all I care about. I'm sure I wouldn't be in this position today if it wasn't. All right, I suppose you've earned the right to voice your opinion after everything you've done, qualified or not. So let's hear it. Of course. Which is why I know it requires some very delicate handling. But unlike Alexis, I believe we can get the proper restrictions and regulations in place to have a marketable product. We do it every day with weapons we arm ourselves and our ships with. The possible backlash on tech like this is not lost on me. However, the internal Neuroamp will define the next era of tech, with Ryujin at the forefront. It's not an opportunity you just walk away from. Not when you word it like that. But a product that can settle disputes or help broaden someone's point of view? Then you really have something that consumers will buy into. Well, it seems your talents really do stretch beyond just being an operative. Good talk. Maybe I'll even consult you on future endeavors.
If only there were more hours in the day. Well, if it isn't my favorite operative, something I can help you with? You heard correct. I've every reason to believe that Infinity LTD is the Pandora's box of corporations. I can guarantee that Infinity LTD was up to more than just the current charges. The process of finding and following up on all those threads won't be easy. I refuse to be blindsided by another corporation's past, so this is going to take a lot of time and patience. All right, I could use the entertainment. Tell me why Infinity is a good asset. I prefer to operate on an abundance of caution. But maybe it is a bit much. The benefits definitely exist. It's just, are they worth the risk? I suppose I might be overreacting a little. Huh. Well, what do you know? I think you just convinced me. Talent like yours belongs in the courtroom. Unfortunately, half my department's been poring over documentation, while the other half is writing up what legal guidance they can. Nice to know someone is. Everyone's too busy praising its completion to think about the dangers it could represent. First off, if I find out you used that device on me, I will tie you up in court on whatever charges I can conjure for the rest of your life. Second, that tech is one major human rights violation that no legal team wants to fight. I'll do whatever I can to make sure it's either severely delayed or collects dust in storage.
If we didn't have to worry about people abusing it, the possibilities would be phenomenal.
Because the external neuroamps are built to help the user on a personal level. They aid in reason, communication, confidence, all things that can make the difference in a person's self-image. And yes, they can be abused, but that's why there are laws regarding improper usage. Tech like this only has good applications when you have complete control over who uses it. Once that tech hits a market, open or private, that control is gone. And not only that, The tech is out there to be advanced or modified by anyone who might get their hands on it. Well, I'm both glad and surprised to hear the one person who has one say that. Masako is lucky to have you at her disposal, you know? You may be the greatest asset, aside from the internal Neuroamp, that Ryujin has. This exchange has been surprisingly insightful, but now I really do need to get back to my notes.
This meeting should prove to be very interesting. I assume Masako briefed you on her preferred outcome. That's because you're the one with the tool to do it. As long as Masako has the internal Neuroamp on her side, she can't lose.
It's such a shame. The technology, if used by decent people, could lead to so much good. But the harm it can do in the wrong hands is beyond terrifying.
If it were up to me, I'd have shut down Project Dominion a long time ago. I knew it was a grave security risk, and look what happened. Completely. I understand the success it can bring for the corporation, but my only concern here is security. It's not that the board majority fails to see the dangers. It's that they believe we can overcome them. That hubris could easily bring this corporation down one day. I only hope it won't be on my watch. It's not often, but yes. And I'm not the only board member that initially voted against moving forward with the research. You read my mind. Let's just hope Masako and the others see it that way. Plus, if we vote to acquire Infinity LTD, we're about to add a significant workload onto my team. The last thing I want to deal with are any more incidents this new Neuroamp might cause. Well, the timing could be better, but I don't feel strongly one way or another about the acquisition. We've gone through our fair share in the past, and this one would be no different. If Masako wishes to bring Infinity into the fold, I will not stand against it. I imagine we're looking at months of work. Infinity LTD is obviously not known for their security. I only hope that Masako and the others will be patient with the process. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some preparations to make. We'll be announcing Ularu's termination of employment at this meeting, so I need to have security ready to escort her off the premises.
All right, everyone. As you all know, we've successfully exposed Infinity LTD's botched human trials and murder for hire through SSNN. The public is demanding their leadership, namely Lucas Drexler, face trial, and he's probably writing his resignation as we speak. Ryujin will be launching a statement, But I believe now is the perfect time to acquire Infinity LTD.
Believe it or not, I agree. The acquisition has risks, and it's going to create a lot of work for all of us. But the overall payoff will be worth it.
Legal ramifications are a certainty, but the benefits far outweigh the disadvantages.
Arguments?
Infinity LTD could be the Pandora's box of financial and legal risks. I simply cannot support an acquisition.
I think what we're all overlooking is what led us to this situation to begin with. Yes, our security was compromised. But considering Dalton was hired by Masako, the issue obviously starts at the top. In fact, I propose that Masako be removed from CEO altogether.
Ularu, this isn't a line you want to cross.
And considering you're the mole, if anyone's going to be removed from power, it's going to be you.
Hold up. Are you saying you lied to us?
Dalton, the last meeting we had, you distinctly said Imogene was the mole, and she'd been dealt with.
Do you even have any proof to back up this outrageous claim?
Of course we do. The malicious code you hid on this slate to upload incriminating evidence against Masako onto Lucas Drexler's computer.
To put it bluntly, Ularu, you're fired. Security will hold you in your office until a proper exit interview can be done.
This isn't right. I should at least have the opportunity to resign.
And allow you to still be marketable to a competitor? I don't think so. This may be news to me, and I will be reviewing the evidence closely. But this isn't something you just get to walk away from.
Security, escort Miss Chen to her office and see that she stays put.
You'll regret this. All of you.
I believe the only regret would be trusting you to begin with.
All right, back to business. All in favor of acquiring Infinity LTD?
Aye.
All against?
Nay.
Good. Alexis, start drawing up the necessary documentation. Anyone have anything else they'd like to bring up? I'm waiting. The internal Neuroamp is a key component of Ryujin Industries' success for the next 10 years, if not more. Why would we shelve it after we've finally perfected it?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but he's right. Regardless of the pros, the cons are too morally and ethically irresponsible to move forward with.
I must agree. We can't go through with production on technology like this until certain safeties can be guaranteed.
Very well. All in favor of shelving Project Dominion?
Aye.
Vina, prep Project Dominion for storage. Any other matters to bring forth? None? This concludes our order of business for today.
So much work to do.
You're looking interesting today.
Shelving the internal Neuroamp. Not the outcome I anticipated. A fine point, but it still proves its usefulness. The truth remains, Lucas Drexler learned a hard lesson, and we exposed a traitor among us. You've proven yourself to be quite the asset here at Ryujin. It's well earned and deserved. I truly appreciate the work you put into exposing Ularu. No operative has ever had to investigate our own to the extent that you did. I can imagine it may have been a lot of pressure, considering you were fairly new at the time.
This is the right time to ask for a raise, right?
Not often, and certainly not to this degree. We have the occasional employee consider selling information, but thanks to our security and operations teams, we always catch them before any damage can be done. This was the first time anyone from either department was involved. Imogene's instincts were right about you. Now, as promised, I have your bonus. I hope you'll find it appropriate for all you've done. And I'm promoting you to senior operative. You've more than earned it. It's well deserved. As for the details, I think someone back on the operations floor would prefer to explain those to you.
Let's talk. When you have time, of course. Neon. You'd think it would be peaceful with all those calm waters and beautiful sunsets. But I can't think of any town that's more stressful. Ryujin, Infinity LTD, and there you were, navigating corporate bureaucracy like a professional. I hear you. Look, I know Neon is going to be Neon, no matter what any of us do about it. But I'm glad you put a stop to that Neuroamp tech. Nothing good was going to come from that. I do. Trust me. I think it's fascinating and has potential to help beyond our wildest dreams. But we can't just believe that they have the best intentions here. Too much is at stake to risk it. I guess we'll find out if we can trust them if you suddenly start coming after all of us, huh? Ha ha ha. But seriously though, I'm watching you. Anyway, not that I care a ton about the internal politics of some ethically dubious megacorp, but... So Masako, huh? I mean, between her and Ularu Chen, I get it, but you don't trust her, do you? Sometimes the least worst option is all we can get. Anyway, you didn't happen to pick up any investment tips while you were in there? Just kidding. I don't even want to know.
So, what's new with you today? Handling those tricky decisions regarding Ryujin must have been difficult. In fact, I'm amazed you were able to deal with them at all. Those types of corporations remind me why I never ventured into business. I can't stand that way of life. The moral ambiguity, the deceit, the avarice. Megacorporations seem to exude a complete disregard for common human decency. It is disgusting. And I'm pleased you recognized that Ryujin almost made a grievous error in judgment. After all, based on your recommendation, they've ceased their work on that disturbing Neuroamp technology. You mean other than the fact that it can turn a free-willed human being into a mindless automaton? For you to even ask me that question means you're completely blind to the implications of that horrid device. Why wouldn't I be pleased about your decision? Can you imagine if that technology had fallen into the wrong hands? The awful things you could force people to do. Oh, it's terribly frightening. How about making someone forcibly end their own life? Or worse, pick up a weapon and start shooting at innocent people? Taking control of someone's mind and implanting suggestions is a terrifying prospect of this weapon. Yes, quite. Well, I've certainly taken up enough of your time. Thanks for letting me get that off my mind.
I'm up for a little adventure. Of all the places in the galaxy, only Neon can make me feel so damn oily. And you dealt with its absolute worst. Ryujin, Infinity LTD, all of it. You doing all right? That was a lot. Well, it just makes you human. How come no matter how advanced society gets, we still just can't help coming up with new horrors to inflict on ourselves? Mechs, xeno-warfare, and now this Neuroamp tech. Swear it's the worst yet. Thank God you put a stop to it. It's worse, far worse. The other tech is capable of untold destruction, but with the Neuroamp, they can take away your very body. They can make you do any damn thing they want. I can't think of anything more terrifying. Amen to that. With a piece of work like Ryujin, I know there isn't a good person to put in charge. I mean, I guess Masako's better than Ularu Chen, but you just know if violence or being just plain evil was the path of least resistance, then Masako would pick it same as Ularu. You're right. I know you're right. Well, the whole damned affair is over. Thank God.
It is pleasing to speak with you. I suppose now you can add climbing the corporate ladder to your list of accomplishments. I think it is perhaps for the best that the research program will come to an end. Where that Neuroamp technology could lead, there are many bad outcomes. Too many. I was going to say that everyone with an internal Neuroamp all trying to control each other would be the worst. But perhaps even more dangerous would be only one person managing to control everyone else. Already there has been too much conflict between corporations vying for this technology. First Infinity, then Ryujin. Who knows what might be next? You presume it had not already? Interesting. You know the people behind Ryujin better than I, but I am not convinced they could be trusted. The project will be shelved, they call it? As I said, too many other bad outcomes. This is for the best. With the Neuroamp matter settled, we should move on to other things, yes?
You've certainly shaken things up around here. I still can't believe Ularu tried to frame me. An obvious misjudgment on my part. But now that's all in the past. It's time to get back to your typical day-to-day. Of course. If you think anyone here believes in downtime, forget it. And I'd say it's good to be back if I hadn't returned to a mountain of paperwork. Now, since you were new, you've been dealing with people, but most of our assignments are generated on the mission board. The board holds any available assignments that our techs have pieced together, and I've approved. Questions? No, but try to see that as an improvement, since I certainly do. The mission board is more efficient for both of us. Well, after this conversation, you can head up to your office and see for yourself. Just think of it as a computer that lets you pick and choose your assignments at will, rather than having to deal with me all the time. Nothing you aren't already familiar with. You experienced the majority of what we do here during your training, if you recall. Uploading a few files, manipulating a narrative or two, obtaining schematics, it's just more of the same. Good. The mission board is generally self-explanatory anyway. With your promotion, you've earned yourself an office, so whenever you're ready, you can find your own personal mission board inside. And the best perk of them all, you're free to make your own hours. Oh, and congratulations, of course. No, only within the tower. The security risk would be far too much to allow access to that data in a public space. You certainly will. Go check out the board, and if you have any questions, I suppose I can start up an open door policy, just for you.